Stories in today's video. 1. My 25M, straight batchmate, co-intern, acquaintance, 23M, who has a GF, got very drunk at a house party and confessed some things and I don't know what to do now too. My 20F, boyfriend, 30M, told another girl he wanted to marry her. 3. My 14M, mum, 50F, kicked out my sister, 23, over Netflix. 4. Separate finances, but husband, 26, manages money horribly and I'm 27, tired. I am gay. As the title says, he was very drunk and he has a GF if 3 years. He saw me and instantly started saying stuff like, you can get this, gesturing to his body, you can wake up to this every morning, you are so cute, cutest guy the first have ever seen, you should make better choices when it comes to men. I am sorry I am not good with words, but if I were I'd tell you how great you are, why haven't we slept together already? I played along, humored him as he was drunk. And then he went home, drunk, video called, texted me. Next day, I ran into him, he was all awkward, was talking to me but couldn't look me in the eye for more than a second. And other people at the party, his friends listened to bits and pieces of what he said and next day I heard they were justifying him saying, he was too drunk to know what he was saying, it was so weird, didn't mean it, he was totally out of it. I should mention his friend group is slightly homophobic and I am an out gay person, so I DK. I shared such a nice social rapport with him but now it's all gone and I am so annoyed. What should I do? Rant. Also he's like the 5th straight friend, acquaintance I have had who has done stuff like this, I am so annoyed by it and then they get all awkward and distant and I kinda feel bad. How is that fair? TLDR, straight guy drunkenly confessed his feelings and now he is all awkward and I don't know where to go from here. My boyfriend pursued this girl for years before meeting me. We started talking after they both stopped talking. A few months into our relationship, the two of them started talking again. I've asked him many times to stop talking to her because it makes me feel insecure and I've been cheated on multiple times by an ex. A few weeks ago, I went through his phone, and found messages of him telling her that he wanted to marry her because she was his ideal. He then listed that it was because she had a great career, she's a doctor, so is he, beautiful, intelligent, caring, etc. And then he said he wanted to spend multiple lives with her. They've also *xded and sent nudes multiple times. How would I salvage this relationship? I don't know what to do. Dad 45 male, mum 50 female, sister Lily, fake name of course, Dylan 50, sister's biological father, we are half sisters. I'll try to keep this as short as possible as it's late for context. My sister had to move in with me, my brother 18M, and my parents for quite a while because she contracted tuberculosis and had to quit university on her last year to recover from it around a year ago. Also, another important thing, our mother puts money into my sister's account, so that she could pay for our Netflix in my sister's name, the reason why being, something about our mum not being so good with tech so she would rather have my sister handle it. The same thing was also done with the last Wi-Fi we had, she had a pending bill for that which she'd initially thought was taken out of her account the day before. She shouldn't have been getting charged for it, as it was cancelled quite a while ago, so our dad put money into her account to pay for it. She gave the money back after realizing it was pending. Lily had a discussion with our parents about the situation with the Wi-Fi. They responded like it was a lot more serious than it really was, and irritated, as if Lily has done something wrong, mostly our mother, when all she really did was explain the situation. After her attempt, Lily told me she felt like she was being held responsible for this, and they weren't taking much or any responsibility at all for it. The issue with being charged money was sorted. Due to that conversation, and previous experiences with my parents alike and or worse than this one, they tend to escalate things, not listen, and not take criticism well at all. I genuinely can't remember a time they've once said sorry or apologized to either of us. She decided to cancel the Netflix subscription. I advised Lily to tell our parents before she would. I knew how my parents would react if she did, so I wanted it there to be the best outcome possible that could come from this. She was emotional and angry, reasonably so, just coming back from that altercation. Lily decided to still cancel it. A few minutes after, she calmly told our mum that she cancelled the Netflix subscription, that you could still use the service for the rest of the month before it expired, and that setting up a new Netflix account in your own name is relatively easy to do. Our mother, already angry by her saying that, our mum asked why. Lily explained that she doesn't want any complications, and complications with money in her account, and that she just wanted it to be clear and her own to deal with. She told our mum that she could help set up her own Netflix subscription in her name if she couldn't do it. She of course didn't tell her this too because it would have ended a lot worse. Lily also didn't want to deal with them giving her trouble with the services. As usual, my mother didn't bother to listen at all. She started shouting at Lily about why you would do that she puts money into her account, and that it was her idea to get Netflix, which she was initially paying for, and that she didn't even know what it was until she brought it up to her, that it's a service that her and everyone in the house uses, so it affects everyone, that she has no respect, that she's the one that pays for her room, she pays the mortgage for the house, not for that room specifically, cooks our food. About the Wi-Fi situation from earlier, Lily hadn't mentioned it once in this altercation, blowing up and escalating this much more than they should have been, in what I assume was defending herself. Lily tried to explain her reasoning calmly, but she was interrupted constantly by our mother shouting over her, repeating the same things. My dad entered, returning from his walk, and seemed confused with what the argument was about. He tried to make sense of it all. My sister was very calm throughout the altercation, and talking respectfully, but eventually both sides weren't really being listened to, and my mum would still continue to shout over what Lily was trying to say, so my sister walked off to our room which we shared and said she didn't want to talk about it anymore. Our dad told her to come back, but she refused and said that she was finished. This is when our mother said, I don't want her anymore, she can go to Dylan or whatever, and vented to my dad about not wanting to deal with this. Lily would later tell me that she left because she wasn't being listened to, was being treated unfairly, and couldn't have a civil conversation with our mum. Lily definitely spoke to Dylan, because he kept on calling my mum, but she didn't pick up. She said it was between her and Dylan. My dad didn't really do anything throughout this whole altercation, besides defend my mum's actions. He said he's willing to have a discussion about it. I tried being kind of mediator, of sorts, after me and my mum explained things to my dad, and talking to both sides. My mum would give me a very hard time, interrupt me, go on about how what I said was wrong and how I should respectful whenever I said the slightest thing that criticized them, and would sometimes direct her anger about the altercation with Lily towards me, but thankfully she listens to my dad and he convinced her to let me speak, although she still didn't look happy about what I was saying. There's definitely misunderstandings on both sides, and I've tried explaining what I understood from my parents' perspective to my sister, and vice versa, but my sister says that she's done and she's cutting them off for good. I can understand as she's dealt with this for her whole life, and with our dad 17 years of her life. I know our mum was serious when she said what she did because she's kicked me out the house when I was around 7 to 8 years old for a week when her and my dad were separated. They got back together when I was 11 to 12 years old. The last straw I assume with dealing with me. As usual, me and my brother were annoying each other as young siblings do. He pushed me into a chair. It fell over and created a crack. The chair wasn't broken, and was 100% usable. She slapped my hand and packed my bags, saying she's tired of me and doesn't want to deal with me and wants a break. She kicked out my other older sister, 27F, for saying, maybe we should talk about this when brother and financial_stress aren't around. For context, my mum brought everyone into the lounge to argue with my dad in front of us all. I was around 7 to 8 years old, my brother 10 to 11 years old. I remember I was crying at the time and I think that's why my other older sister intervened. Is there anything I can do to help fix this? I just want a normal, functioning family. TLDR, my mum kicked out my sister because she cancelled the Netflix subscription that was in her name that she was paying for via sending the money into her account. Sister cancelled Netflix so she wouldn't have any complications and have to deal with our parents giving her *SSLE over it. Netflix would still be usable until end of month. All of our money is separate. Partner wasn't interested in combining. We have a child and take turns paying expenses. We take turns buying groceries and everything. With that being said, my partner is horrible with money. He likes takeout and video games and is a compulsive spender. I feel like I can't say anything when he swipes his card though, because his money is his, and mine is mine. How do I tell him he can't buy something when we don't view each other's money as ours? I have sat him down, threatened divorce for 2 years and he won't slow down his spending. I will admit, he's made a lot of progress but it isn't enough. He has $0 in savings and $19 in checking for the next 11 days. So I am forced to pay his bills until he gets paid. And buy his gas and anything else he needs until then. How do I deal with this? Has anyone had a partner bad with money? Has anyone ever got through this? I'm starting to believe we never will and that I will have to divorce. Any advice on how to get this resolved would be great help.
TLDR, husband and I have separate finances but he is bad with money, no money in savings and runs out.